Hey, how's it going, guys? It's your boy, and you know what? There's nothing I like more than mocking people who fail to do a good troll or fail to make good jokes. I've done it before with Andy Warski, and I will do it again with this video. This is about Michael Knowles. Yeah, you know, the guy from the Daily Wire, the Harry Potter-looking, smug-faced, boomer-minded 30-odd-year-old who, for some reason, wishes he was born like 20 years earlier. I don't know why, but for some reason he feels the need to just, you know, let out some really bad bait and trolls to football fans. By football I mean soccer fans. This World Cup, which by the way has been a really good World Cup. I guess maybe the absence of the US has made him a little bit salty because you guys, you know, didn't qualify unlike last time. You know, it's quite a downgrade from, you know, the last round of 16, but whatever. It's coming home. It's coming home. Thus, he has decided in his infinite wisdom, and the Daily Wire somehow allowed this, they think this is a really good idea, that he's going to go and make really stupid videos like this. I mean, look at those titles. They're more clickbait than you could possibly imagine, but you also have to think to yourself, there is an air of, yeah, this is actually the typical American looking down on the sport, the beautiful game. And he probably, to some extent, along with his co-hosts, think that, yeah, it probably is a bit degenerate. It isn't very American. And, well, it isn't. Or at least, will it be? But anyway, we're going to go through every single one of these videos, so we're going to be in here for the long haul, guys. So sit down, relax, have a cup of tea, and get ready to laugh at the Daily Wire's attempts at banter.
On foreign affairs also, and this is right before we'll bring in the God King to pour cold water on everything, we're getting the World Cup in North America. It's going to be this nice alliance between Canada, the United States, Mexico.
Yes, in 2026, after the rather shambolic and quite frankly ridiculous World Cup in Qatar, or Qatar as the loose the will call it, you guys will be hosting the World Cup alongside Mexico and Canada. You should be proud of this, a country hosting the World Cup. I know you're getting a bit of help, but you've now hosted a World Cup twice in little over nearly just 32 years. It will be 32 years. I will be well into my 30s at that point. England hasn't hosted the World Cup since 1966. That will be 60 years. My dad will be 66 years old, and he probably remembers the World Cup when we last won it. Or will it be the last time we won it? This should be a cause for patriotic celebration. It would be in any other country. Even countries without much football pedigree as Qatar, even they're probably excited to some extent.
Donald Trump, by the way, has been lobbying since March to bring the World Cup to North America. Meanwhile, Los Angeles is getting the 2028 Summer Olympics as well. So we've got two major international sporting events that are coming to the United States because of Donald Trump. Everybody predicted that Trump would hurt these bids because the whole world hates him, right? He's humiliating and our allies hate us. And instead, he actually helped. Now, look, I do not care very much for the Olympics. I don't watch the Olympics. Other than curling. Curling is one of my favorite sports in the world. But other than curling, I don't like it.
To be fair, you don't even look like you play much sports, let alone even watch it. I mean, look at me, right? Skinny little fucker, right? Even I played football at school. I was bad. My sport was 100 metres. But regardless, I still played. And in fact, I wasn't bad enough to be put in goal. Considering I didn't really have much of a first touch, a shot, I had a little bit of a short pass and had good defensive instincts. I guess that was it. You probably wouldn't even make the bench. You wouldn't even make the reserve squad. I at least managed to perform for my school. I don't know about you. Oh, just to clarify, that was for 100 metres, not for football. I never bothered. I just wasn't in anybody else's league. But yeah, right-wing Harry Potter here is now going to lecture us on why football is anti-American.
I also think that soccer basically should be outlawed in the United States.
Oh, great joke. You were just so dry then that I literally fell for your bait. Yeah. Oh, you really hooked me in. Yeah. Oh, got me good. You got him. You got all the football fans.
But it is a very good sign, nonetheless, of this global leadership. The United States has global leadership.
Not really. Not when it comes to football, anyway. You've only got the football because FIFA decides that's a great way to make money. 3 countries, 2 of which aren't actually footballing nations. Mexico has far more pedigree than Canada and the United States, although, let's be fair, the United States has come on leaps and bounds over the past 20 years, whereas Canada has not. It's not really indicative of you as a world power, really. I mean, by that logic, Britain in 2012 was a world power. Also, Brazil had the Olympics and the World Cup. They had the World Cup in 2014 and they had the Olympics in 2016. They're not a world power at all. It's really not indicative of anything. Also, what does that say about Canada and Mexico? Are they rising to the top? You've only got it because you paid FIFA more than anybody else, basically.
Now, I think the God King, the founder of my feasts and the man who signs my checks, disagrees with me on this. Can we bring on the God King?
What's interesting to me is how everyone who supports the president carries water for the president. You can't just be a general fan of the guy. You have to be basically an evangelist for Donald Trump.
Proselytizing, Kofef.
And so when he says, for example, when he calls Kim Jong-un Rocket Man, all of his fans are like, yes, we have always wanted war on the Korean Peninsula. And when he says things like, I really trust him, and everybody's like, yes, we have always wanted peace on the Korean Peninsula, and no one ever knows where they stand with you people.
Is this guy an anti-Trump conservative? I'm not really sure, but it is a Daily Wire. There's a bit of everybody. Pretty sure people will criticise Trump, even on his own side, if he does something wrong. Case in point, Syria.
And this is the greatest example. This is a microcosm of all things Trump, that one of the great arguments on behalf of Donald Trump is he's going to be a global leader. He's going to rebuild America's supremacy. He's going to salvage Western civilization.
Make America great again.
Make America great again. He's going to salvage Western civilization. And now you're crowing that he is bringing this bastard sport.
Oh, you see, there again, the bait. Comedy works, banter works when it's based in reality. Now, if anybody knows their sports history, everybody knows that the NFL is currently a bastardised version of rugby. And where does rugby come from? It comes from football, originally. Yeah, a little history lesson for you all. Originally, in the 1800s, before even the English FA, or just the FA, because it was the first FA, football was actually played with both hands and feet. So, the football you see today, it was using the similar techniques with the feet, but also with hands. And then, as the rules of the game was formulating and coalescing, and we were beginning to organise on a nationwide scale, there was a split between the people who wanted to use predominantly their feet and the people who wanted to predominantly use their hands. Originally, they would play both. The split happened, and these people who wanted to use their hands went away and formed, I think it's rugby union. Rugby became rugby in the 1800s, in the mid-1800s, and football used its feet. And the only time you use your hands is when you throw the ball, if you're an outfield player. Obviously on the touchline, you can't do it in play. Or if you're a goalkeeper. Or if you're positioning the ball for a free kick. How is football the bastardised sport when the NFL was formed in 1892? The sport itself was pretty new, and obviously you can see where it comes from, rugby. Like, the formations are similar. The way you have the passer, the quarterback, that comes from rugby. How you have fast players on the wings, that comes from football and rugby. You know, the guys who win you the touchdowns, essentially. Although I think you're more central in that regard. Football is the bastard sport, but American football is not, considering where it actually comes from. And considering a lot of your sports are bastard sports, like baseball. That's basically cricket and rounders. But again, it's just bait, but it's not based in reality. It's not good banter. Because you can't go, that's so true. Because it isn't.
Of soccer to the United States.
Bringing soccer to the United States. Don't worry. I'll be getting into that in a little while later.
This is Obama-level leading from behind. You call that global leadership? Global leadership is called baseball.
Yeah, we're the only other country that plays it. Yeah, when the only other country that plays it is Japan, and you force them to play it. God, I feel so sorry for them. I mean, you know what? Wrestling is more of a global sport. Because at the very least, professional wrestling, as in WWE type sports, is played over here, was big over here, the British one at least, and is now having a revival. Aside from the WWE shit. That's played everywhere, I think, to some extent. Baseball is not. In fact, baseball isn't even your most popular sport. Again, you simply cannot banter, my dude.
Yes, that's true. Baseball,
Global
maybe football.
Maybe football. Global leading from behind is called soccer.
I mean, they genuinely think they're funny. They genuinely think this is some of the best comedy they've ever come up with on this show, when obviously it is not. It's really bad. They're like, this will really rustle some jimmies. This will rustle the soccer fans. This will rustle the libs.
I have to say, when I was reading all the good news today, well, we'll get to the great explanation, because I have to say this is the best Never Trump argument.
And it cuts off there for whatever reason. Again, it's just a poor attempt at sports banter and clickbait. And again, these people do not have the comedic chops or the banter to actually, go toe-to-toe with football fans.
Before we get to that, though, the huge sports news over the weekend. I'm sure you were following major sports news, so we turn now to our sister network, Daily Wire 2, and sports analyst Jeremy the God King Boring.
And now the next one, where Michael will tell us that soccer or football or foosball, well, that's different, isn't real football. Yeah, because, the sport that's played with feet is not actual football. Wrong choice of music. Wrong choice of music. The current World Cup isn't even in South America.
Bam! Thank you, Michael.
Jeremy, what happened?
Michael, this weekend saw the most important event in socialist sport since the soup lines at the gulags.
Socialist sport, right? It's not like at the moment you've got people like Colin Kaepernick in your own sport. Socialist sport, right? Just because football comes from a working class background, right? Okay, and look, he's even doing like the whole football commentator on Sky Sports thing or in ESPN. Again, it's not funny, because football is not a political sport. In fact, if you try and bring politics into football, you get fined for it. But again, look, I don't even know why I'm even bringing him facts when what he wants is a reaction. But I'm not really giving him a reaction. I'm just looking at this and thinking, well, already your comedic setup has failed at the first hurdle, because you're not even parodying the actual World Cup that's going on. You're just parodying the stereotype that Americans have of football. And it's kind of funny that the Daily Wire and the right are trying to appeal to more working class viewers, and they're already attacking an audience that they're trying to win, what Trump has won for them. Typical conservatives.
It's the greatest 4-year plan since Stalin himself. I'm talking about the FIFA FOA World Cup.
Oh my God. That's just cringe. That's not even funny. What? I can't tell if they're trying to parody themselves or me at this point.
It's that special time every 4 years when Americans pretend they care about soccer, even though I dare a single one of them to name more than 3 retired players over the age of 12 from anywhere on Earth.
I'm pretty sure Americans could name you Pele. They could name you Maradona. I mean, especially what he's been doing, getting all excited, shall we say. Beckham, I'm sure they could name that as well. Your own players like Donovan. I mean, come on. I mean, Americans are not stupid. So you're actually insulting your own people. Again, I don't know what they're supposed to be parodying, who they're supposed to be bantering with beyond football fans. But again, they poke fun at themselves. It's just all confusing, guys. You need to actually, have a target, but you don't.
The big news of the weekend, of course, Mexico, GDP 1.04 trillion, scoring their worst upset over Germany, GDP 3.46 trillion since the Zimmerman telegram. Mexico delivered with a 1-0 nail-biter that CBS Sports' Roger Gonzalez called a tense, hectic match that would make anybody shake from the nerves.
Oh, poking fun at the fact that in football, you don't score by threes, you score by 1 because we use 1 net. We don't have touchdowns or another pole like in rugby and American football. Again, all these jokes, it's just so old. It's just used before by other American comedians that used to be funny 10 to 20 years ago that now are not funny anymore. Again, boomers. These men are boomers in mentality. They have a boomer mentality, and this is what they think is funny. This isn't even up to date with the memes that are currently coming out of this World Cup. At the moment, we have memes about Neymar and his rolling around and his play acting, trying to get fouls. And we have the footballers coming home meme, the biggest meme of the World Cup. You're trying to bring up old memes that aren't even relevant anymore, especially to most Americans who watch football, or even the layman. And yes, It was a very tense game. It was nail-biting.
Germany, heavily favored to win not only the match, but the entire World Cup before, Mexico scored one single goal.
Remember, this was a couple of weeks ago, and already he's decided that, Germany's going to lose the whole World Cup, which they did, but he's forgetting that they won the last World Cup. The one that the US didn't win.
Swore that it will rise up only one generation hence and establish a right that will last 1,000 years.
Again, that's not funny. That has nothing to do with football. Look, if you're actually talking about politics and the EU, I would laugh, but these jokes have nothing in common with the sport that they're supposedly parodying.
In other notable matches from the opening weekend, the world's leading state sponsor of terrorism, Iran, GDP $393 billion, won only their second match in World Cup history, handily defeating Morocco, GDP $1.01 billion, in Group B, 1-0. And I thought Iran didn't have nukes. Am I right? Right?
He's not even laughing, he's pretending to laugh, because even Michael Knowles knows that boring here is not funny. You know what, I'm pretty sure that the world's biggest state sponsor of terrorism is actually Saudi Arabia, or ally. No, we can't talk about that with the Daily Wire. But I like how we keep saying 1-0, as if it's trying to really burrow into my head, the cringe, when really foreigners say that a lot. And that's okay. But when you're trying to do it to make me feel annoyed and rustled, I can't help but go, oh, silly Americans, you don't know how to do it yet. You need to learn.
Hey, Michael. Hey, Michael. Michael. Hey, Michael. Michael. Right? And finally, in a match that Sportsnet is calling a game for the ages, Portugal, GDP $204 billion, managed to tie neighboring Spain, GDP $1.232 trillion, in the Iberian Peninsula's most engrossing conflict since insert Hemingway joke.
He keeps mentioning GDP. He keeps mentioning this political shit that isn't relevant. The Spanish Civil War, which Portugal wasn't even involved in. What has this got to do with the match? At the very least, poke fun at things that actually happened.
Women and beta males all over America responded to the match, which perfectly encapsulates everything they love about soccer, from the complete lack of tension or action to the total absence of any personal narrative or individual accomplishments.
Well, that is complete bullshit. Again, I know he's trying to bait, but again, it's just categorically not true. Football has personal achievements and glory. For example, Beckham managing to overcome the hate that he received when he got sent off against Argentina by scoring a free kick, I think, against them a few years later, or it may have been another team. And I don't understand why they're bringing in memes from the political end of things, like beta males and things like that. Again, that has no relevance to football.
And almost immeasurably small score with a resounding, "No, I really love football. The whole world loves football. Why can't you just agree with us about football? Football players are cute. 4 billion people can't be wrong about football. America is evil. This is why you got Trump."
Nobody says that.
The final score was 3-3, representing fully 50% of the total points scored in the World Cup to date.
Are you just going to keep repeating yourselves that, football is a low-scoring sport?
And that's your Daily Wire 2 weekend World Cup update. Be sure to tune in tomorrow or next week or whenever we get around to doing this joke again. Seriously, this crap's going to last an entire month. Michael, bam! Back to you.
Boom! Got him! Great banter. Absolutely battered me. I just have no reply to this excellent comedy, man. And you're going to do this for, they did do it for a whole month. Let's move on to the other one. I'm not interested in what Michael has to say.
What better way to start off a conversation about manliness than to get an update on the World Cup? The manliest game of all.
Oh yeah, says the country that has to literally deck their players in body armour. When we see in football and rugby, aside from goalkeepers occasionally, they don't wear armour. They go out there and get hurt.
Turn now to our sister network, Daily Wire 2, and chief soccer sports correspondent, Jeremy the God King Boring. Jeremy.
Bada boom! Thank you, Michael, M-I-C-H-A-E-L. It's good to be with you after what sports commentators all over the world are calling the most intense weekend of sweaty athletic men not scoring since Thermopylae.
This week was actually full of goals, in case you want to know, guys. So they're already misleading their audience. Again, like I said, it's not based in reality.
Yes, I am talking about the FIFA World Cup.
Recycling the same joke, mispronouncing FIFA. That's not funny. That's It's again, it was old when you said it before, and now it's just going to be the same video. It's going to be the same video.
For our American viewers, that's the once every 4 years global sporting event that doesn't involve curling or figure skating or bombing Iraq.
You see, again, I don't know who they're supposed to be taking the piss out of entirely. Bombing Iraq? What? It's literally, these people think that non sequiturs and random lines equals funny and banter.
In the most shocking match of the weekend, Uruguay.
I know he's intentionally doing it, but it's still just not funny. Because I don't know how to take it. Is he the ignorant American? Or does he literally not like it, so he's just mocking it? I don't know.
With a GDP literally lower than Bill Gates, defeated recent global superpower Russia by a staggering 3 points. Those being the only 3 points scored in the match.
Recycled joke. Oh, and another thing they keenly ignored. They had Iran and Spain and Portugal and Morocco, and totally forgot the opening game where Russia scored like 3 or 4 goals. And apparently that's the Spain and Portugal game was the 50% of the goals scored. Right, okay.
Actor Tom Arnold responded to the match by promising to deliver never-before-seen video of U.S. President Donald Trump covered in urine, praising Russia on its near win, and reminding his constituents that America isn't much better than at soccer if you really think about it.
Again, I could say it's not a near win, but the bait is just not worth biting.
Uruguay's coach responded to the alleged video by dying mysteriously of polonium poisoning.
Again, that's just not funny, because it has no relevance to what's happened. Other than, yeah, polonium poisoning has happened in Britain twice again. But I don't... whatever. Okay, now I'm just beginning to get bored. I'm going to skip to the other video. I'm running out of power.
Scaramouche! Scaramouche! Will you do the fandango, Michael? Enormous news from the Bear of the North. As for the second time in less than a century, Germany's dreams of global conquest collapsed in Western Russia with their 2-0 defeat at the hands of South Korea, a nation with roughly half of Germany's GDP.
Joke number whatever repeated.
Speaking to the BBC, former German champ Jurgen Klinsmann said, quote, "It's always difficult when you win to repeat it 4 years later."
Yeah, no club has retained it for a long time.
An admittedly strange declaration from a nation that has made failure look easy in every generation since the Franco-Prussian War of 1870.
Hang on a sec. He just confused France with Germany. A little history lesson for you. Prussia won that war. And what did Prussia become after that war? Germany. Oh, national stereotypes about America not knowing anything about the world is just flooding in, but I refuse to buy it. But you know what? I'm running out of power. It's pretty much the same video. You've seen 3, you've seen 1, you've seen them all. However, I will just respond to one particular title. Americans don't care about soccer. Well, that's not true, is it? Soccer will soon be America's third favourite spectator sport. A Gallup poll released last week found that 7% of Americans named soccer as their favourite sport, to watch in a survey completed during December. While that may not sound like much, the figure represents a significant 3 percentage point gain from just 4 years ago. Soccer is the only sport to post such a large increase. Football, American football, 37%, down from 39%. Basketball, 11%, down from 12%. And baseball, 9% down from 13%. All showed declining numbers. Hockey, I don't know if that's ice hockey or played on grass, but it's just hockey, was 4% up from 3%. So it's interesting that the faster paced, low scoring games are rising in popularity, while the old traditional sports in America are declining. Now that could be for many different reasons. Again, football is a global sport and FIFA is probably much more powerful than the NFL and the NBA and baseball, whoever does baseball, I forgot, sorry. And hockey, I like hockey. I don't watch it that much. Whenever I watch it, it's entertaining. Again, 2 very similar sports. And in fact, apparently, the arrows are clearly pointing in definitive directions, and it's very likely that soccer will surpass baseball in the next time such a poll is taken. Even more telling are the demographics. Only 1% of those polled by Gallup aged 55 or over named soccer as their favourite. But among adults aged 18 to 34, soccer was the favourite sport of 11%, tying baseball. Only 6% of younger adults chose baseball as their favourite sport. Self-defined liberals also showed a greater preference for soccer. So I guess the Daily Wire are right in one thing, but again, it's the American version of what a liberal is. And of course, there are caveats, as few respondents who chose football as their number one sport even bothered to follow soccer at all, and might follow basketball or baseball. And none of the top 3 sports appear on their deathbed. Major League Baseball in particular has made strides in attendance and TV ratings recently. And yeah, that's the thing. Football is rising. The other two may have had a decline, but that doesn't mean that it's going to always be the case. And it's pretty clear that they're going to be there forever, and they're going to be popular forever. Whether or not football will rise to the top, I don't know. But it's a pretty fast rise. And another thing is that football is on the rise, but English football is benefiting more than the MLS. Now, the MLS is increasing, but you have a very strange league, and you don't seem to have a lot of room for actually growing it and making it better, putting better teams in it. Whereas the English league, with its history of promotion, in fact, pretty much all leagues have promotions and relegations, especially in England, where the TV money is spread evenly amongst all teams. There's a lot more competition to buy players and to become more competitive, even though most mid-table teams aren't. But whatever, there's that. The Premier League is the most watched league in the world. Regardless if Spain may poach our best players, we still manage to entertain the most people. And apparently the MLS is trying to create a foundation for football to flourish in the United States, expanding and strengthening their infrastructure and, of course, their attendances, and also trying to create better players. So as you can see, the MLS is making great strides, and as I mentioned before, your football team with the current crop of younger players will be much better in time for the World Cup. Now, I know I did say I was going to go through every single video, but I just can't. I don't have the time. And already this video, until I edit it down, is going on far too long. And it was just the same old jokes. The right can't meme as much as the left can't meme. To me, it's pretty clear that those in the centre, or those of a younger mindset, or just a little bit smarter than perceived big heads, like a God Chief and Harry Potter Knowles, they can make better memes. This was the Daily Wire not doing a particularly good job on the banter front. And if you look at the comments and the like to dislike ratio, I don't think it's people who are actually legit offended. More people who just realise that these men just cannot tell jokes. It failed. It fell flat. And the problem is, they rely too much on repetition. But you know what? It's okay, guys. There's always the next 4 years to improve your chops, right? But anyway, that's the end of the video. And until next time, it's been your boy, and I'll see you later.